They're my family. Take me. Take me. Rain! 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 Rain!
Welcome back, fans, deadites, and zombies, to the Complete Guide to Horror Movies podcast. Today we're pitting Evil Dead, the original 1981 Sam Raimi horror classic, against the 2013 remake, directed by Fede Alvarez, and sincere apologies if I am butchering that pronunciation.
You gotta be kidding me.
With Evil Dead Rise now released, what better time to look back at where it started and how we feel about the remake 10 years after its release. All right, so starting off, I'm a big Evil Dead fan. I love Evil Dead 1, 2, and Army of Darkness. I think they are so much fun, so camp, so silly, so gory, so twisted, and just an amazing time. I'll say it straight off the bat. I'm not a particular fan of the 2013 remake, but we'll see how we go. I'm going to try and find some positives in there. So we'll start off with you, Justin. Where do you stand on Evil Dead and its legacy, and how would you compare the original to the 2013 remake?
So let me start by saying I completely understand why Evil Dead has this huge legacy. I find that it's often one of the more popular horror franchises, but zombies don't do it for me. I have never been a zombie movie fan. I am allergic to the TV show The Walking Dead. If I try to watch it, I just start getting welts and struggle to breathe. So saying that, and I know this is very controversial, I have not watched Evil Dead 1981, and I've only seen glimpses of Evil Dead 2013. And I know that this is a podcast specifically dedicated for these movies in particular.
Yeah, no shit, Sherlock.
But the last time I watched Evil Dead 1981, I would have been maybe 8-9 years old. For me, I didn't necessarily think it was too scary, considering that when I was 7-8 years old, I already seen most of the Halloween franchise. I was watching Twilight Zone, more sci-fi style anthology horror movies, if you like. But for me, the idea of a zombie just isn't scary or terrifying to me. And I know a couple of weeks ago we recapped Evil Dead Rise, which was entertaining, but again, not scary. I've tried to watch Evil Dead 2013 a few times. All I can think of is Scary Movie 5, like I mentioned in the previous recap.
All right, enough.
I just haven't dedicated enough time. When I tried to rewatch these two movies last night, I was just always on my phone, and I thought, fuck, I know this is Coop's favorite franchise, and I know we're gonna you're gonna bash me up in the parking lot after this, but I'm ready for it.
Oh, right. It's a human body. Suddenly you're admitting to having a human body.
As we used to say at Tormy High, 320 bike racks. Well, that's a shame, but I mean, look, it's not for everybody. I definitely understand that, and especially with the zombie thing. I mean, I feel like with Evil Dead, it kind of brings a little bit more, because I mean, they're talking to you, they're getting in your head, they're showing you weird things. At least there's sort of there's more going on there in an idea than just straight up, brains or whatever.
Yeah.
Pablo, I know you mentioned on the Evil Dead Rise episode that you are a fan of the Evil Dead franchise. So what about yourself? How do you think the original stacks up against the remake?
I love both of them for completely different reasons. 1981 is a testament to, indie horror. And a big thing that the crazy thing about this movie was it was banned when it first came out. It basically got as big as it was because it was kind of sold on the black market. It was people were selling VHS type copies of this movie, kind of like an underground thing. And the fact that it spawned into such a big franchise with such a big following is a massive thing. And like, there's times where it's silly, even though it's very low budget, very kind of discerning, creepy to watch. And I think Evil Dead 2013, like, I love this movie so much. I watch it minimum once a year.
Wow.
Yeah. I think for me, because the reason is like, and Fede said it in an interview or when it was coming up to make the movie, is like, he wanted to make Evil Dead 2013 in the glimpse, basically like remake it the way that Sam would have wanted to make it if it was full horror and he had the budget to do it in 1981. And the thing that I love about 2013 as well is like, if you're familiar with the movie, like it kind of follows the story, but it also diverts it in such the different areas that makes it feel different.
Gore in the 2013 one is really good.
Yeah.
Like it's really, really good.
Yeah.
And like excessive in a good way that I felt like Evil Dead Rise couldn't really wrap its head around.
Yep.
It was kind of trying for that, but as we mentioned on that episode, it was like they just didn't take it far enough, but they absolutely did for the gore factor in the 2013 version. BP, what about yourself? I know you're not always into the 80s movies, but what's your opinion on the matter?
Well, unlike Justin, I actually watched them.
Thank you.
Because I was doing my job.
You better check that shit.
Who gonna check me, boo?
Justin's probably watching Pearl like 2 more times, but he should have been watching it.
Yeah.
So Evil Dead 1981, I hadn't seen it till the other day. It's one thing that in previous movies we've watched, like in the 80s and the 90s, it has that sort of Achilles heel of being stuck in the 80s and the 90s, which is a good thing and a bad thing. So the Evil Dead 1981, I kind of get what Justin is saying in the aspect of like zombie-ish kind of looks on them, like on when they get possessed, essentially. There's like, it's just kind of like a really quirky movie. It's a bit like Evil Dead Rise, where I didn't really find it that scary, but I do appreciate the visuals. Which for 1981 is still pretty good. And then when you jump to the 2013 one, there's something's wrong with this movie in terms of the trailer is really good for this movie. They do a really good job at this trailer for 2013, but when you watch it, it's just lacking something. I don't know. It's like they've got all the ingredients to make it a good movie. And then when those scenes are replayed in the movie, when you watch it from the trailer, it just doesn't have that great effect.
You know that.
The 1981 actually reminds me of when I watched it, the Goosebumps episode, The Haunted Mask.
Yes. I love that.
Like the one that Coop has on his thing, literally looks like The Haunted Mask. Yeah. There. 2013, out of the 3 we watched, I think was the worst. But yeah, between that and 1981 was better.
Okay. There you go. To tell all the news agencies, BP preferred the 80s one.
Oh god.
Straight to the classic.
Spread the word.
It's going to be in a Video Easy magazine exclusive interview with now 80s horror superfan BP.
Exactly.
Oh god.
I mean, I've got several for the original. I mean, a lot of the things that I do like about the original could also be considered negative things. I mean, a lot of the character development, if you could call it that, there isn't really a lot in the first one. The dialogue is a bit jarring at times, a bit stunted. But I kind of enjoy that. I kind of think it's really funny at times. One of my favorite parts being that line, for God's sake, what happened to her eyes? And it's just one of the most poorly delivered lines. It's just absolute comedy gold.
Did you see your eyes? Gosh, I'm scared. What's wrong with her?
I love the physical effects all throughout the original. I mean, you've even got a bit of claymation in there. I guess that's
stop motion. Yeah.
Which is really good as well. I mean, the gore for its time was, I mean, it was kind of what's the word, ahead of its time, I guess. Revolutionary, I guess is the word. And it's just, yeah, bloody good time. And of course, to anyone who hasn't seen it, like Justin, I couldn't recommend it enough. For the remake, as I mentioned earlier, the gore in the remake is really, really good. They go above and beyond for the gore. They did try to put more into the characters. I did appreciate that. I mean, I appreciate that in any horror movie, as we've talked about. If you get your audience to truly care about your characters, you're able to invest more, and you actually do give a shit when they die, which is kind of the point. As like, there's been that reality, and you're actually worried for these people and concerned for their safety in these movies. I mean, that's kind of half the point. So they tried to do that in this movie. I think they did all right. They did their best, but I mean, again, like I mentioned before, not a movie that I'm that into. But yeah, the gore, amazing. It looked really good, as Justin would say. Color grading, very good also. So props to it for that. Justin, I mean,
Skip.
Maybe the curse has somehow been lifted.
The poster for Evil Dead 1981, it's very simple. It's just the arms like sticking out of the grabbing what appears to be some like, you know, horny teenage girl or whatnot. And the tagline is the most ferociously original horror film of the year. For me, that is excellent marketing. I like the color grading on the poster. Color grading is going to be my signature thing, I swear. But, you know, the tagline, it really teases how good this horror movie is, but it doesn't overhype it. And this is going to be one of my dislikes, but if you jump across to the poster for the 2013 film, you see, like, the shot of, I guess, whatever her name is, I forgot her name, and she's just like there awkwardly standing, and it has in big text, the most terrifying film you'll ever experience, with the Evil Dead logo so small towards the left that I think, here we go. This is like the same marketing cycle with the Saw franchise, where they're like, we created traps so horrifying and disgusting, our editor threw up. And it's like, you don't need that. That's not going to get people into seats. If I see the most terrifying film you will experience, I will look at that and go, I'm going to look for ways to destroy this movie because you promised something that you cannot deliver. And hey, maybe I might deliver if I actually watch the fucking thing. But for now, from the bits that I did see, I really liked the cold open for the 2013 version. I felt that it was its own little segment, but it really establishes that, you know, to kill this demonic to kill this demonic spirit, you have to, like, shoot them. You have to set them on fire. And, you know, the other thing I thought that was a bit strange with that cold open is that the father who, you know, ties his daughter to the chair and everything, he doesn't really seem to have any emotions that I'm like, isn't this your daughter? And you're like setting her ablaze and shooting her in the head, but whatever. But those were my top things. Just, yeah, I need to actually watch these movies. Sorry. One day. I'll probably watch the subs, like some other version. I'll be like, Coop, don't worry, I'll watch the movie. And you're like, oh, what did you watch? I'm like, oh yeah, American Psycho. You're like, we're talking about Evil Dead. Movie. I'm like, fuck.
Pablo, what were your favorite parts of Evil Dead 81 and 2013?
Yeah, so favorite parts with 81, I think the way, so considering it's a B grade film from the 80s, the fact that it still has moments where it scares the shit out of me after so long. Like, I think for me personally, demonic possession is one of the most terrifying things to me. Having no agency of your body whatsoever and being fully present during it, to me, scares the shit out of me. The fact that it's, like, you know, B-grade film, the shots that they did with, you know, I don't even know what it's called technically in the law, but like the demonic entity just chasing or moving through the forest to me, you know, it's still an image that is so potent in feeling different. Like, it's so Evil Dead. If the way it moves is unnatural. obviously the iconic Ash, and the fact that it's just launched a franchise is a big thing for me. Evil Dead 2013. The thing that I love about this movie, like I said earlier, it kind of follows story that you're familiar with but changes in different ways. The fact that, like, one thing that I love is the whole MacGuffin aspect, where you're thinking Mia's brother is going to be the Ash in the situation, and it completely turned his head in that third act. And the fact that, like, she has a whole journey, you know, she's an addict, a recovering addict. She goes from that to being, you know, possessed by evil itself and creating havoc with his friends that are trying to help her through this process, to then becoming the badass at the end and basically, you know, defeating her own addiction.
Take one of these. I don't know. Oh, come on. They'll only last a couple of hours, Pop. Kendra, I don't need drugs to have fun.
I can't sing 2013's praises high enough, which I know it's not a popular film with the fan base, but I'll keep fighting for it. Don't you worry.
There's gonna be like all these people in the YouTube comments being like, "What do you mean you like the 2013? Well, you're dumb and you're this." And then someone's gonna be like, "Oh, what movie are you guys talking about?" It's like, it's in the fucking title.
Justin will be the one in the comment asking what movie we're talking about.
Yeah, just get it out of the way. Someone's going to do it. Just do it. What movie is this? Yeah.
We still get comments every fucking hour on that stupid little short video about Cameron Diaz's foot in the box. And I've put the title of the movie in the fucking title of the video. And they still go, "What movie is this?" And then I'll respond, "The Box, 2009. They go, "Oh, thanks. Do you have a download link?" I'm like, we do a podcast here, guys. We're not a fucking torrent service.
just respond. "Oh, I can just watch it for you if you want."
Or there's that website where it's like, I don't know what it's you put in as Google search, you send them the link, and it'll bring up a fake version of Google, and I'll type it in for them. And then it'll show like a cursor go to the search button, and then it'll take you to the Google search itself.
I love that site. Yeah, let me Google it for you.
That's it. Yeah.
Justin, you should just link, like, you send them the Pearl ending link when they ask you questions. They're like, "What's this?"
Pardon.
Nothing.
As you touched on, Cooper, it's like that stop motion or the clay motion scene. I think I had to look it up because I wrote it down, and I think it's the death scene. Is that right? Is that where they do it?
Which part?
Yes.
The stop motion itself.
Yes,
is it the death scene or something? Yeah. I like that. As with an 1981 horror film, there's always like interesting camera angles as well, which I just made a note of. There was one scene. I don't know who it was. Someone had blood going into someone else's mouth, and that's actually where I was like, "Oh," it was disgusting. Because in an 81 film, I'm like, I wonder what that actually is, because I feel like, you know, there's not really any regulations, or not as much as like the 2013 one would be, as like it's probably just like cranberry juice or I don't know, something that tastes good going into the mouth. But the 81, I was questioning what it was going into their mouth. That's really all. I've sort of got comments more for the negative, but also go for the positive as well. And then with the 2013 one, it was good visuals in that movie. I liked the scene that Pablo's got with just like the blood with the rain. I thought that's really cool. The slicing of the kneecap in the 2013 one. Yeah, I haven't seen that before. Like we've talked about like the Achilles with like House of Wax. But not a kneecap. And yeah, I thought that was really like cringe, like really like disgusting. Also, there's a lot of vomiting in that one as well, which I thought was disgusting. And when she cuts her tongue and then, you know, kisses her,
that's just a sick scene. I love that movie. That scene.
Why don't you come down here so I can suck your cock, pretty boy? Mia's not here, you fucking idiot!
In 1981, there's a part where Ash and I cannot remember the other character's name. They try to escape, but the trees are possessed, and I thought that was so fucking funny when I watched it as a kid.
Did any of you notice the in the original, in the top right corner in some of the outside scenes, the moon was kind of like really badly superimposed onto the screen, and there's like a visual square that you can see every time that you see the moon in the movie.
And they never remaster it out. It's always there.
it's always there. It's always there. I've got like a what is it? A special edition DVD, and I've just always noticed that, which is pretty funny. I also think that the present that Ash gives to his girlfriend, that's a weird necklace. Hey, what is it? Like it's just like a piece of glass. Like, I don't understand it. Like, am I missing something? Is that like an actual? I don't know.
Maybe it's like the young people culture at the time. Like the 90s, it was shark tooths. Like 2000s culture would have been like an emo
or mood ring,
like a razor blade. Yeah.
It's a mood ring. Yeah.
I thought that was I thought that was a little whack. Otherwise, no negatives for the original. I think my main issue with the with the new one was like, I felt like it was missing sort of I don't feel like it was as fun. You know what I mean? Like the original, it just has this sort of fun camp factor to it. I mean, obviously it'd be great horror, so there's always going to be that. But I feel like that's sort of, it's missing that from the new one. So I guess that's sort of my main issue, is sort of just that lack of humor. But I mean, as we found out with Evil Dead Rise, it apparently doesn't work when you try to either. So I guess there's that. Pablo, least favorite parts of the original and 2013.
I'm gonna have to say, I think a lot of at least fans nowadays would say it would be the tree scene in both. Yes. I feel like that's completely unnecessary. The only way that I could justify it is this is, pure evil that we're dealing with. And symbolically, one of the most evil things you could do to somebody is violate them in that way. But even then, like, it's too much. And the fact that even like Sam Raimi has said that he regrets putting that scene in, and they still put it in the 2013 version. To a degree. So that's probably my biggest gripe with these films.
Just a note about the sexual assault scenes. It seems to be common in both the original and the remake. Last House on the Left did that as well. So did I Spit on Your Grave. I Spit on Your Grave, I guess, is dedicated to that, so I'll let that pass. But Last House on the Left, I remember seeing the original and being like, holy shit, this is very intense. And then the remake, I was like, oh, they kept it in. And it's actually slightly more graphic.
That's rough.
But
that's fucked.
Is that fine?
So you touched on that box scene, the present scene with the necklace in 1981. Did you notice in that scene how it was filmed? It was like very close up of just eyes between the two characters. Like, but like, I didn't really understand what was going on. It was kind of wigging me out. And it was like very, like, I just kind of felt uncomfortable because it just seemed really bizarre that they were kind of going with that angle. And it's like he's giving her a present and then she's just like holding it, but it kept going back to like just close up of the eyes. The other thing I noticed with 1981 is it did like a couple establishment shots. And so one of the key scenes I noticed is when they go to bury one of the friends out of the cabin. They've got the spade, I think, or something in their hand. And then it goes to, so spade in their hand, goes to like drop the body into the grave. And then the next scene just goes to like patting the grave. And then it just cuts back to the cabin. But like this all happens within like 5 seconds or 10 seconds. So there's nothing like really like showing anything happening, which like you don't have to show it, but it's just the way they kind of like cut it really quick. And then it just kind of went back to the cabin. I just thought that was a bit weird. But like, this is a thing as well, like with like 80s films, as we've sort of said, they're like quirky sort of camera angles as well, which I like. I think the most like irritating part of 1981 was this, I don't know who it is. It's the girl, she just kept laughing. And I think it went for about 20 minutes. And it was I don't know which one that was, but I just wanted to put her out of her misery. And then when she actually died, I was like, thank God, shut her up. But, yeah. And then with 2013, just my biggest thing was, this, I don't know what it is. It's just like lacking depth in general. It just felt a bit cold, I guess you would say, maybe compared to the 1981. I didn't really care for it. I thought the visuals were like the strongest point, but I just thought everything else, I thought like that thing wasn't that scary, to be honest. Even when you compare it to Evil Dead Rise, I would consider the Evil Dead Rise woman to be scarier than this thing. Just a lot of it come across just not as effective when you watch it. That's my opinion anyway. So
you're not allowed to have opinions, baby.
Well, I mean, I have an opinion because I watched the movie. Thank you very much.
I'm gonna put in that clip where it's the two housewives and she's like, "That's my opinion."
How do you know what's good for me? That's my opinion!
So it actually kind of had a bit of a troubled production on this one. So they were kind of frantically running out of money as they were filming this thing. And it actually got to the point where once they'd filmed all the inside scenes, the cast and crew were actually burning furniture to stay warm while they were filming the original Evil Dead because it was sort of getting so desperate. Another little thing is, I don't know if any of you have heard the band Deicide on their original, their debut album, self-titled album. They actually have a song called Dead by Dawn, which is about Evil Dead. My roommate Lockie would actually probably go as far to say that is his favorite entry in the Evil Dead franchise, is that song.
The entire shoot took 70 days, which is pretty long for a movie. The last scene where Mia recovers and ends up killing her deadite self was actually a 2-week shoot. So that entire segment of the movie took 2 weeks to film.
Holy fuck.
Yeah.
Damn.
And that's why when people are upset that Jane doesn't want to do a second one, you just have to rewatch the whole movie and kind of put into perspective. That was like 2.5 months of work.
Yeah.
And she was the only person on set for those 2 weeks for that last scene as well. Yeah. So it was brutal for her.
According to reports in the press, the 2013 film used 70,000 gallons of fake blood.
We've lost a lot of blood, so donate yours.
In the final scene, 50,000 was used, and this compares to 200 to 300 used in the original.
So several crew members were injured during the shoot because of the cabin's remoteness. Securing medical assistance was difficult. One notably gruesome moment on set involved ripping off Baker's eyelashes during removal of her face mask. Because of the low budget, contact lenses were as thick as glass, had to be applied to the actors to achieve the demonic eyes effect. The lenses took 10 minutes to apply and could only be left on for about 15 minutes because eyes could not breathe with them applied. Campbell later commented that to get the effect of wearing these lenses, they had to put Tupperware over their eyes.
Crazy.
Holy fuck that.
Hectic. So for the original, I'm going to give it 8.5 deadites out of 10. And for the remake, I did enjoy it more this time around than I expected to. So I'm going to give it 6 deadites out of 10. Justin, based on your knowledge, what are your ratings?
I don't feel like if I give a rating, it's going to be fair to either movie. So I'm going to say not applicable out of 10 to both.
That's fair. That's fair. Pablo?
Original, I would give it an 8.5 as well. It launched a franchise. It's a very iconic film. It's going to be controversial for 2013, but I'll probably give it like a 9 out of 10. It, to me, like I said, I watch it minimum once a year. The fact that
It's
the
a
gore in
stayer
it,
for you.
yeah, yeah, the fact that the gore still gives me tingles every watch as well. Like,
nice.
I love it.
Yeah, and
I agree.
Yeah, I'm a little bit harsh for this one, but I'm sorry, Coop, but I'll give Evil Dead 1981 6.5. I still think it's a good entry. Yeah, I saw your face. Yeah, 6.5. I don't know, 6.5. What fake CGI moons out of 10 or whatever you want to call it.
Yeah, that's it.
And then I'm gonna give 2013, and I'll give it 5.5. BS trailer marketing spin out of 10.
I love how you said you were going to be really harsh and you gave like the same scores I feel you would give every other episode we've done. It's like that clip on The Simpsons where it's the guy who does a tour around Springfield. He's like, I'm going to give this town the lowest score ever, a 6 out of 10. And then everyone in the studio like drops their shit.
Evil Dead 1981. I mean, it's one of my all-time favorite movies. I couldn't recommend it highly enough for anyone who's into horror to check it out and see a movie that has inspired anything from more horror movies to, as I mentioned, death metal music as well. The remake, if you want to see a modern interpretation of the original, then check that out as well. If you like a gory ass movie, then you've definitely got one with 2013. Justin, any final thoughts?
Well, this actually makes me want to watch both the Evil Dead incarnation, so I'm going to schedule some time in this week when I'm at this huge fucking work conference to actually watch them. I will say I remember from watching 1981 as a kid that I did enjoy it. I just need to go back and rewatch it. 2013 hasn't really appealed to me. You know, I see it more as a funny horror movie, but that's because I watched Scary Movie 5 before any, 2013 Evil Deads. But yeah, I'll check it out. I'm just going to say, I really feel for the actors and actresses behind this franchise. It sounds like they went through a shit ton of things just to get these movies out on time. But hey, we appreciate them for their contributions to the legacy.
Absolutely. Pablo, final thoughts?
Final thoughts. Evil Dead, 100% the original. Watch it. If you go into it knowing that it's obviously an 80s campy horror film, and just enjoy it for what it is. 2013, similar vein, but obviously it leans more into the horror aspect. So if you go in expecting a campy horror film, you're going to be disappointed. But yeah, also just keep your eyes on Jane throughout the entire movie. The fact that her dead-eye version of herself feels like a completely different actress to me. I cannot sing her praises high enough. So definitely give it a watch as well.
Absolutely. And BP?
Yeah, 1981 version is still good viewing. 80s, like I said, can be good and bad, but I think this has a bit of nostalgic and value, and also start of a pretty decent franchise that, is looking to add more films in the future, which I think is a good thing. So yeah, 1981, it's still, a good watch. The 2013, personally, I just don't think it's really that good of a remake of the 1981. It's maybe a little bit of an insult. As I said, the visuals are really good, but it was just lacking something that the 1981 version had. My recommendation, if you're going to watch the 2013 one, don't watch the trailer, because you're going to be left disappointed. But yeah, it's still a decent watch, but I would expect miracles with it. So yeah.
Thank you to my esteemed co-hosts today, Justin, BP, and Pablo.
Thank you.
Thank you.
And thank you, listeners and viewers. Join us next week where we cover Jennifer's Body, the horror comedy gem starring Megan Fox and Amanda Seyfried. Like, comment, share, scream, shout, let it all out if you like this episode, and if you hated it,
You will die like the others before you.
One by one, we will take you.
Thanks for watching our Evil Dead vs. Evil Dead versus episode. We've got plenty more episodes, everything from Final Destination to the Saw franchise, Scream, everything you name it, we've probably covered it. Let us know if you prefer the original The Evil Dead movie from 1981 or Evil Dead 2013. Also, check out our recap on Evil Dead Rise. Thanks for watching and see you next time.